Hi everybody, my name is Hannah and this is Pepper and Pine, and I have a project to share with you today. This is for our butterflies and caterpillars unit, and it's the life cycle of a butterfly using a variety of mediums. And so I'm going to take you through this process, but I've got tutorials on all of the individual projects that we did. I'm using this book as inspiration as well as other books for the information for this project. I'm also using this Fabriano watercolor paper. This is 90-pound watercolor paper. We're not going to use it to watercolor. We're going to use it as backing for our project. I'm also going to take the chipboard at the back of this paper pad because we're going to be doing quite a bit on our paper and I want it to have a good sturdy background, and so we're going to use this because it's nice and thick. I'm also going to use a glue stick in order to adhere my watercolor paper to this chipboard background. I find that a glue stick is the perfect adhesive for this. I think spray adhesive would work well too, but I would advise against using a wet glue. I'm just going to clean up the edges. I'm not going to put any kind of border on it, so I want it nice and clean. And I'm also going to let it dry completely under a stack of books. All right, next we're going to use some of these distress inks in crushed olive and peeled paint in order to give the edges a little detail, just so that it kind of frames our work. But this is optional and I think it would look good either way. I'm using my blender tool in order to put the color down around the edges. I am using some water at this point to kind of blend those colors. Again, all of this is optional, but I do like to add an artistic touch to our projects. I'm also adding quite a bit of water to the ink so that it can kind of blend and spread, and that's why you want to make sure that your paper is fully dry and adhered to your backing if you wish to do that. Alright, so this is what it looks like, and it's still going to need some time to dry, so we're going to set that aside, and I want to show you some of the pieces that we're going to be using for this project. Most of these pieces right here, we used some oven-baked clay. That snowman's not going to be part of this project, but my kids also did that. So we have these plastic pieces that were the inspiration for this project. Could always just glue those down, but we decided to make our own using this oven-baked clay. It is awesome. I also have a tutorial on how to make those, and we also felted some caterpillars. I also have a tutorial on how to make those, and I was debating on whether we're going to use the felted caterpillars or the clay caterpillars. Alright, so we also need our butterfly, and I made these using my Silhouette Cameo and some distress inks. I also have a tutorial on how to make these. I'm using my bone folder in order to fold these wings up. I want it so that it looks like it's kind of perched on that little branch. I'm also going to be using my hot glue gun to adhere the butterfly to the branch and also to kind of make it look like it has a body. So you can see I added quite a thick amount, and I'm not pressing really hard, and you do want to hold it there until it dries completely, and now it kind of gives it a more three-dimensional look to the body. Alright, I also have the chrysalis that we made out of clay, and I want to put that at the bottom of the branch, and I kind of want to position it on my page so that I have enough room for all the writing that's going to go along with each of these different phases. This also takes a little while to get it set, and next I want to decide on whether I want to use my felted or my clay caterpillar. We opt for the felted one, but I think both would be fine, especially if you did not felt a caterpillar or you don't have felting materials. I think doing the entire thing out of clay is just fine. Alright, so we also used some beeswax for a couple of these smaller embellishments, and I'm going to use my hot glue gun in order to adhere them to that little leaf, and that was a little bit challenging because the wax wants to melt, so you got to be quick about it, and I honestly don't know the long-term durability of gluing that down using the wax. And so in the future, if I was to do this project again, I might consider just using clay for all of those small pieces. I really like the way that caterpillar looks like it's kind of coming up on its hind legs and it's about to eat some of those leaves, not the eggs. And so I like the three-dimensional part of this project and just the interactive part of it as well. Alright, so everything looks good, but I want to do one more thing before I glue everything down to my board, and that is to add some string on the back. This happens to be some orange waxed string, but I have used baker's twine in the past as well. I'm using my hot glue gun to add a generous amount of glue on either side of the board, and then I'm just going to put my string and a little piece of paper over the string just to ensure that it stays in place. We have been adhering string to our backing boards like this for about a year now, and they've all held up really well. They're hanging in our homeschool classroom, and they all look like really nice decorations that are really durable. The kids really enjoy looking at their projects. All right, so now it's time to position everything once again and glue everything down. I want to make sure there's room for the title as well as some of the other little captions we want to add to this. At the end, I do add another leaf as well as another butterfly, and in a little bit I'm going to show you how I do all the writing and the different captions. So I start in pencil, and it's best that you do this if you're not sure, but I do want to go over it with my Sharpie orange marker, and it kind of gives it a nice finished formal look, and I kind of wish that I had done that with the rest of the writing, but I went ahead and did that in pencil, but it will smudge, so do be careful. I went ahead and I added one more caterpillar. I made this one out of beeswax. I'm using the Stockmar brand of beeswax. I'm also going to use a little bit of black to add what looks like little antenna at the back and at the front of my caterpillar. And I wanted to adhere it to the bottom of my stick only because I felt like that little place was kind of missing an embellishment. And I tried to add hot glue to it, but it wasn't having any of that hot glue. It just wouldn't stick. So it's kind of a warm day, so I just adhered it by kind of warming up that wax and putting it onto the stick. Again, I'm not sure about the longevity of doing it that way, but for now it works just fine. Alright, so after I did my sample, it was time for my kids to do theirs. I've got my 7-year-old daughter working on her project first. She's working with those distress inks. She's making herself a border, and hers is going to be modified just a little bit. She's only 7. She's not going to do as much writing, and all she did was label each part of the life cycle of a butterfly. And this is my 11-year-old son's work. You can see that he added all the captions for his project. Alright, so here's a little glimpse at some of the things that we've been doing in our homeschool. If you want to see some of the other projects that go along with this main lesson block, you can tap on the screen right now to see those playlists. And don't forget that you can see what we're up to on a daily basis by finding me on Instagram at Pepper and Pine.